They used grenades and killed all of them.
They ordered all of the families to sit or stand in the ditch. Then they shot. After 5 minutes, they shot the second time. If they heard weeping, they shot a third time.
My 6-year-old son and I, we lied down and used the rice to cover us. Then 3 or 4 bodies fell on us.
40 years ago, a company of U.S. soldiers helicoptered into this tiny hamlet in central Vietnam. They spent the next 4 hours maiming, raping, and killing 504 Vietnamese men, women, and children in what became known as the My Lai massacre. For decades, people have anguished over how a group of seemingly good young men could commit such an atrocity. But My Lai is not the only massacre. Vietnam, it's not the only war. Now in Iraq, with rampages such as Haditha, old questions are being re-asked, old wounds reopened. For the next half hour, we're going to journey into this heart of darkness in search of understanding for how this brutal reality can come to pass again and again. This is On War, and I'm Josh Rushing. The stark facts of that day, March 16, 1968, are not in dispute. An Army photographer captured moments in the bloody assault. When the story of what happened leaked out more than a year later, there was an investigation. 25 members of Charlie Company and their officers were charged, most with murder. There were a few trials. Only one person, Lieutenant William Calley, was found guilty. He was never punished. Charges against most of the soldiers were eventually dismissed. The what is known. It's the why that remains an open question. Some of the men who slaughtered unarmed villagers remain haunted by their memories. But for those who crawled out of that crush of blood and bone, the horror is still fresh and vivid.
It was early in the morning, and a lot of helicopters came, and the soldiers, and they burned and they shot.
Pham Thi Truan is 75 now. That day, she and her baby daughter were herded into this ditch with more than 100 others. Her father's body shielded them from the bullets. Terrified, she lay motionless among the dead for hours.
I cannot forget it as long as I live. I even remember the shooting of my people in the ditch in my dreams.
Have you come to any understanding over the years how they could act in such a way?
No, I can't explain why they did it.
I'm the only one left. I was 11 years old.
Pham Kong is reminded of the dead every day. It's his job. Not only does he bear a deep furrow from a bullet that narrowly missed killing him, he's the director of the museum dedicated to the victims of the massacre and the caretaker of what is left where they lived. Kong takes us to the place where he hid with his family in an underground shelter, the place where they all lay dying. How long did you stay down in the shelter?
From 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon.
Surrounded by his memories, Kong has spent years wishing for a way to understand why the soldiers committed the crime that has devastated his life. What would it be like for you to meet a soldier who actually participated in the killing, to come back and admit that here?
I would ask him a question. Why would he kill ordinary people, women and children and women with babies in their bellies?
Kong doesn't know it now, but he will soon get the opportunity to ask that question. Ken Shill still cherishes the faded snapshots of the day he left home to join the Army. It was all he ever wanted to do. He was a skinny, very young-looking 19-year-old. That was October 1966. 6 months later, he was in Hawaii, eagerly learning how to be a soldier. And 6 months after that, he was in Vietnam. He was part of Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 20th Infantry. Charlie Company was assigned to Task Force Barker, a special unit created to search out and destroy Viet Cong, operating around the Central Coast. It had been a dispiriting couple of months for the U.S. military. The Tet Offensive, the Siege of Khe Sanh, surprised the power that thought it was winning. For Charlie Company, the losses have been personal. Booby traps and mines had taken a third of their comrades, one of them the day before. So on the morning of March 16th, helicopter machine guns laid down suppressing fire, and 3 platoons, with orders to kill everything that moved, fanned out across the rice paddies and into the hamlets that collectively made up My Lai. They encountered no resistance whatsoever, but perhaps a desire for revenge filled their hearts and clouded their consciences. Perhaps it was a military command that measured victory by body count. Perhaps it was a mentality that regarded every Vietnamese as less than a person, merely an enemy, an embodiment of communism. They've created sidewalks here where you can get a sense of what was going on that morning. You can see bicycle tracks and bare feet fleeing away. And then that is a distinct print of an American combat boot. One of the men who wore those boots is about to set foot here again. Ken, I'm Josh Rushing. Pleased to meet you. Ken Shield is returning to My Lai. Never before has a soldier who participated in the massacre come back. Almost 40 years after he was charged with murdering 9 Vietnamese villagers here, he will face his past.
We landed on the west side, but when we pushed through the village, we took the east side.
Where? How far off would y'all have landed?
We didn't land too far away. I was on the first lift in, and we secured probably the northern part of the perimeter.
So you would have come right along there? Ken has trouble recognizing the village today, even locating the rice paddy where his chopper landed.
And a little bit further to the south.
Has this day stuck with you?
The incident has.
40 years ago when you were on the helicopter, what were your orders?
Our orders before we came in was to kill everything in the village.
And so, as you approached the village, what did you find?
Fine, you know, it's quiet. I saw a lot of people running off to the north, and I really didn't understand that.
He has forgotten or blocked a lot of the details. Do you remember the ditches, the canals?
Nope, I never saw a canal. I never saw this ditch. I never saw it in the village.
Really?
Nope.
So, like a lot of the stuff that was described, you never saw?
Nope, not at all. I've never even dreamt about Vietnam.
Ken says he'd like to go inside the museum, where photographs of My Lai at the time might bring it all back. Do you know Renato?
Yes. I still talk to Hodges.
There's Carter.
Yeah. Widmer and, geez, I can't remember the other kid's name.
I noticed you stepped a little faster when you went past this one. Is that hard for you to see?
No.
Really?
What really bothers me is this one. Not so much the shooting, but this one.
Pulling it by the hair.
Pulling a woman by the hair. Because I saw some things that I really didn't like. And to me, let me look for the word, dehumanize. And I just don't like that.
All right, Ken, I don't get it.
What you don't get between killing and dehumanizing someone?
Yeah.
It's just like there's acceptable ways to kill people and there's ways that aren't.
Ken claims he is mystified by the granite wall of the dead.
I never saw that many people in that village.
And that number in the middle there are their ages. Listed on the wall, the entire Do Ki family, parents and 4 children. But until this moment, no one knew that one child, 12-year-old Do Thi An Tuyet, had escaped. Horribly wounded, she ran away and has never returned until now. Just outside the museum, her heart-wrenching homecoming. Ironically, the only structure in the village that has been rebuilt as an example of what was destroyed is the one that belonged to her family. It becomes her refuge. How can Ken Shiel cope with having inflicted that kind of pain? He has two defenses. The first is dark.
It's the moment, it's the opportunity, it's the knowing that probably nothing's going to happen to me.
The second is familiar.
I was a soldier following orders, and I believe that's how I dealt with that.
Mm-hmm. Everyone you confronted was unarmed.
True.
Is that true?
That's true.
Did you have any hesitation about killing unarmed people?
I definitely have hesitation about killing anyone.
Did you shoot?
Did I shoot? I'll say that I shot until I realized what was wrong.
Or when you say you shot, you mean you shot villagers?
I'm not going to say whether I shot villagers or not.
In a sworn statement given during the investigation of the My Lai massacre, another soldier recalls seeing Ken firing at villagers while saying, "I don't want to shoot them, I don't want to shoot them, but I have to because we're ordered to." When we come back, painful denial confronts undeniable pain.